Hello, and welcome to Retro Cheese Review, where I force my friends and family to review cheesy movies from my childhood. Today, we have with me my wife, Felicia, again. Felicia, say hi to everyone.
Hello, and we have Frankie right here who likes to chew on everything. Yes, he does. So he's going to be held like a baby.
Today, we're wearing cowboy hats because we're reviewing kind of a Western movie. We'll be doing one of my favorite movies and one of Felicia's favorite movies, Cannibal the Musical. This is,
Woo!
yes, it is not only a musical, it is a musical done by Troma, and it is a musical that was written and directed and starred in by the South Park creators, specifically Trey Parker. This was done 5 years before they did South Park. It's an amazing musical. You should all check it out. Before we dive in, we'll both do our nostalgia reviews of this. I'm just going to go out right and say it. This is a 15 out of 5. I'm a big sucker for musicals.
It's
Huge
a
sucker.
goddamn
Yeah,
masterpiece.
huge sucker for Trey Parker. Anything that he does. It's. I would say it right here. If you love musicals, fuck Les Mis and fuck Phantom. Watch Cannibal. It is.
I would absolutely agree.
Yeah.
And I love all that.
Yeah.
But I mean, Cannibal the
Yeah.
Musical is just a far superior film. If it's ever been in a stage performance, which I'm pretty sure it has, it's superior to the rest. I mean, fuck everybody else.
Yeah, and it's based on like a historic, like a true story, very loosely. So he did that. He did
Very loosely.
Trey Parker wrote and starred in and composed his own musical about a historical event years before Lin-Manuel Miranda. So Lin-Manuel Miranda was clearly copying him, and fuck Lin-Manuel Miranda. Even though
Yeah, fuck
even though
that guy.
I love
Fuck
Hamilton.
that
Yeah,
guy.
yeah, fuck that
Right?
guy. So what's your nostalgia, rating of this, movie?
I think yesterday when we were watching it,
No,
what
no,
did I give it? I
this
think,
is no, not yesterday. This is your nostalgia rating for like the first time you saw it.
um, oh gosh, I think the first time I saw it, your brother Jeremy had actually rented it from Netflix. This was, I want to say, about, gosh, like 12, 14 years ago. Um,
So you saw it much later than like as a kid, because I saw this as a kid.
oh, did you see it as a kid?
Like shortly after South Park came out. So I didn't see it like when it first came out, but like I would say as a teenager.
I guess I would give it the same rating though, but I mean, I think, what did I say? I think like 15 spadoinkles, or was it
15
15?
schvadoinkles.
I can't remember what.
Yeah. So a high regards, even the
Yes,
first time that you saw it.
it is easily one of my favorite movies of all time, but South Park is also one of my favorite shows of all time, and Book of Mormon is one of my favorite musicals of all time. I mean, I pretty much worship the ground that Trey Parker and Matt Stone walk on. So, I
Yeah.
mean,
And this is like
it's kind of a given.
yeah, and this is like their first thing that they did. This is before The Spirit of Christmas, the whole like short that they did. This is years before Orgasmo. And you also got to think of the genius that Trey Parker was able to get Troma to produce a musical. He's like a no-name, I think still in college or fresh out of college. And he gets Troma, the studio, for those of you who don't know, they did just cheesy B-rate horror movies and like the Toxic Avenger, and stuff with like porn actors and stuff in it, like again,
Wasn't
Toxic
Ron
Avenger.
Jeremy like in a whole bunch of their movies?
Yeah, he was in at least one of the Toxic Avenger movies, and he gets them to produce a musical about like a historic, western. Now, obviously, this isn't like a history piece. It takes Trey Parker's, personality.
I don't know. I
Um,
think it's 100% accurate. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you saw or what you watched, but
yeah,
I think,
clearly, we weren't watching the same movie.
no.
So first, let's just show the Rotten Tomatoes score. Despite being a B movie, despite being a musical, and produced by Troma, 63% critic score, 82% audience score. Like I think that's a pretty good rating for a musical. Musicals generally get tore up by the audience, and it's a pretty damn good rating, by the audience, and especially considering it was a super low budget B movie.
You know what I think is remarkable though is that despite it being so low budget, and they know it's low budget, they kind of relish in the fact that it's a low budget. It works. It
Yeah.
works so well. Like it's one of those and I feel like they did a lot with with what they had. That's the crazy thing. I was mentioning to Trevor yesterday that I'm just like, holy shit, if they were actually given a budget, imagine what they could have done. But it's kind
Well,
of
we
like
know what they can do because, like Book of Mormon, when Trey Parker finally gets a budget.
But I mean, it's just like, I don't know if they were using like a synthesizer or whatnot, but it still worked. You know what I mean? And I think what I also love is that Trey Parker was also the one who was clearly singing a majority of the vocals.
Yeah, it's kind of obvious with Trey Parker. One he wrote and directed and starred in it and did the music, for it. I think one of the great things is anytime that someone clearly just couldn't sing, like he just, had an actor that couldn't sing, he just dubbed over it with him singing. Like that was so obvious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and what I think's funny,
Right.
you get like Seth MacFarlane, the writer of Family Guy, he gets a lot of credit for being like, knowing musicals, being that musical guy. But like Trey Parker, I feel like doesn't get enough credit for this because like one, this is making fun of like several classic musicals the entire time, but it's written like perfectly like an old school musical. It has like, the exact thing, even like, like the chorus songs, in the middle, everything like that. And it's kind of perfectly written that way. It even regularly uses the music like old-timey, Hollywood, the way they'd introduce it. For every character has their own like music. Like when the trappers, which we'll kind of get into, it plays like their song when, even when they haven't sung it yet, things like that. When they're at trial, it plays like the hang the bastard song, the music to it in the background.
It kind of follows a perfect musical theater format. Obviously, I didn't study musical theater, I didn't study theater, but there is a very clear beginning, middle, end. There's a climax, and I think that's kind of outstanding for a movie that knows it's low budget. It is low budget, it knows it's low budget, and they know it's just going to be an overall shitty film, but it fucking works. And I know you were telling me yesterday, oh yeah, they shouldn't try to recreate this movie. And like, part of me kind of wants a remake because it's awesome.
Despite the fact that I know that Trey Parker would do a remake, properly, I think that there's the charm of the low budget to it. Like there's
That's
almost
true.
like there. I feel like I'd rather them just make new content than remake it. I don't like remakes. That's one of the things.
That's fair. That is very fair. I think here's my mindset. It's like the reason why I want a kind of a remake or a remaster of the video game Chrono Trigger is it's so good that even though it's a perfect game on its own, it almost deserves like a remaster in the sense of like it's in the sense that the story deserves far more robust graphics or far more robust music and characters outside of sprites. I mean, that's just my opinion. I know a lot of people also agree with me.
Yeah, sometimes for for movies and video games, I think that makes sense if it's like low budget but did what the best it could with low budget.
But I think it's low budget. The Chrono Trigger.
Well, yeah, but it's just it's a product of its time. It was great for its time, but with this, I think there's like almost that charm of that B movie. Like you can even see like the images up on the screen, like Trey Parker's horrible beard, costume department and very fake blood. Matt Stone holding like a prop foot. It works for it.
I think that is what makes it work so well. But here's the thing: even if they gave it a larger budget, who's to say that they can't just use super shitty stuff, but intentionally? I don't know. I mean,
yeah, it's true. And the entire cast, like most of them would work with, Trey Parker. At least the people who are important, like him, Matt Stone, and then I always forget his name, but they work with him a lot. He played Squeak in Basketball. He's in this. I still hear him do voices on South Park pretty regularly.
Does he still do voices?
I don't know. He did Chris, Satan's boyfriend. I'm sure he's still around. So, like, diving into the plot, it's based on the story of Alfred Packer, the first cannibal in Colorado. First person to be tried for cannibalism in Colorado. Follows a classical music, format. It has great opening numbers. I don't want this video to get, like, copyright struck, so I'm not going to share a lot of that. I am going to share a small scene from one of my favorites, though. Let's build a snowman. It's the tap dancing. And that's all I'm going to share of that. But he's tap dancing in the snow.
Come on! You could play it a little bit longer.
Nah, that's enough of that. I want people to go out and watch this. There's several places you can watch this for free. I'm not even trying to, like, push this. You can also just rent it on Prime without commercials for really cheap. But outside of the music, which is amazing, like, the songs get stuck in your head.
That's the thing. They're really fucking well written. They're like, the music is good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, and they're catchy. But really, like, the plot of it is basically this group of people are trying to go from Utah to Colorado to mine gold. They run into, Packer, who's from Colorado. He's got his horse with him, Leanne. And basically
you got to mention the fun fact.
Yeah. Oh, fun fact: Leanne is named after Trey. He made him the horse in this movie, and it's named after his ex-girlfriend, Trey Parker's. There's a lot of, like, things online about talking about how this movie was literally made to get revenge on an ex-girlfriend that, like, cheated on him or dumped him or something. It's also funny because Leanne's also the name of Cartman's mom in South Park, who is notorious for being a whore. So yeah, clearly Trey Parker's not bitter or anything, because he named the horse in this movie in, like, 1993 after his ex-girlfriend, and then 1997 rolls around and he still names, Cartman's mom Leanne.
Sorry,
so
I had to mention
still
that
bitter.
fact.
No, I was gonna get to that. Yeah, and it's also
Hysterical.
it's hilarious because, like, there's even, like, a lot of jokes in it of, like, you're letting someone else ride you, like, and it's clear the guy's supposed to be in love with his horse, like, in a very weird way. And it's just him literally making fun of his ex-girlfriend, like, ultimate revenge of, like, well, I'm gonna get a movie named and name a horse after you, like, so petty.
At least that's what I remember reading.
Yeah, and I looked up some more of it.
I think that is true, but I'm not entirely sure.
So yeah, like, getting back into the plot. So, Packer's just going to go along with this group. He's from Colorado and he wants to go back with his horse. But then the guide is like, they're just carrying him out of the mines and he's on fire. And they're like, what happened? He was struck by lightning. It's like, is he going to be okay? And they just kind of look at him like he's an idiot. So the Mormon minister decides that Packer's from Colorado, so he can guide them, despite it being, like, it's about to be winter and they're going to go through the mountains and he's not a proper guide. And hilarity ensues from there. They're all going through, the mountains. Shit just keeps happening. They run into some trappers, which are hilarious. One of them's got a skunk with, like, googly eyes as his hat.
Nice hat.
Yeah, there's the line from, Matt Stone, nice hat. And it's also funny because Matt Stone doesn't want to be there for one. His dad forces him into it, his character. And then the entire time he's just bragging about the fact that he can pretty much do every single time they get to something, he's just doing, like, this lame voice. And
he sounds like Butters. It's great.
Yeah, he sounds kind of like Butters from South Park, and he's just constantly bragging about how, I could do that. Like, they're in the river, like, gonna cross the river. He's like, I crashed rivers bigger than this before. Like, it's the dumbest shit ever. And eventually they run into the Native Americans who... A classic Western trope was that they because they just couldn't get Native American actors, is they would do either two things that were very racist. They would either get white people to play Native Americans and just basically do, the brown face. They would get Hispanics to play them, or they would just bluntly get Asians to play Native Americans, which this movie decided to do. because
they were Japanese exchange students.
yeah, Japanese exchange
Look it up.
students, but they just went all in. Like, I'm gonna go ahead and just play this scene. Like, like you can see the Native Americans literally have katanas and are speaking Japanese, and when they get to like the camp, they're all just questioning. It's like, are you guys actually? Well, they're calling them Indians. They're like, are you? And he's like, yes. Can't you tell by all of our teepees? And they have teepees everywhere, but like most of they're really shittily built like prop teepees, and most of them are most of them are white with the big red sun. Like they're painted with the Japanese flag.
Even back in the day, I'm like, how the fuck did you guys get away with that?
And the best thing is all of like a bunch of them are in the middle of like the Indian camp, and they're doing like katas like from karate. They're like practicing fucking practicing karate. And like the name of their tribe, I don't know if it's Japanese or what language it's in, but the name of their tribe literally means Japanese people.
I think so.
Or something like that.
I think I remember reading that somewhere, and I think, what was it? They were, I think, oh, fuck, what was the fact? There was like something that was, if they, I guess one of the people was doing some sign language, and it meant like Jesus is dead or God is dead.
Yeah, that's Matt Stone is doing that, claiming he can speak their language.
Oh yeah, so
and then whatever he said pisses them off because he clearly can't speak their language.
Hold up, I gotta look this up.
Yeah, you were saying something like that before, but it's funny because like they even like they're basically like super nice and hospitable, but the trappers are in the camp, so they're all pissed off, but. They're and the horse went missing. That's another thing, and he insists that Trey Parker, Packer, insists that the trappers like stole the horse or some shit.
Okay, so I found it. It says in Cannibal the Musical, when Humphrey mistakenly thinks he's using
Matt
sign
Stone's
language,
character,
yeah, to say "Welcome to the land of blue light," he is actually saying the words "Jesus Christ instead." It's so fucking stupid.
So yeah, so they've been like venturing like forth for months, even though it's supposed to, like Packer originally said it would only take them a couple weeks to get to Colorado. And the Native Americans, the Japanese people, tell them to basically stay in the camp, that there's going to be a bad storm. They originally agree. The chief is teaching Packer karate for some reason. Hilarious, and telling him make sure not to use it to be a bully, use it only for self-defense, like giving him like the Karate Kid line. And at one point also, like I missed this, they also get told they're like not to go into the Rockies because it's cursed and you'll be doomed. It's like directly like the old guy from Friday the 13th's there, don't go in there. But like they end up leaving camp early because the Packer lies. Because they basically the trappers leave early, so he lies to the group saying there's a break in the storm because he thinks that they've stole his horse. This leads to them basically all getting trapped in the mountains with no food, and they start like one of them goes crazy. It's the priest first, of course, and shoots the snowman guy because it's a guy who keeps singing "Let's build a snowman" and he's overly positive, and it ensues that they all just start like eating each other. Eventually, Packer goes to look, to see, because they're all going to eat each other again. And when he comes back, everyone but the priest is dead, and he ends up like, the priest tries to kill him, and he kills him. It's horror movie hilarity where he has to kill him multiple times, and he keeps getting back up. And this cuts to like, the trial, which is how it started. I actually missed that he's on trial, for cannibalism, and they basically, they convict him. This reporter has been talking to him this whole time, telling him he's not a reporter, or she's not a reporter, and she insists you won't get hung for this because she actually believes him and is clearly falling in love with him. And on the day that he's supposed to be hung, she shows up with like this loophole where he can't be tried for cannibalism. This is historically accurate. His lawyers found this loophole, so he ended up. In real life, he didn't go to prison. He did go to prison, but not for like as long of a time. And actually,
he was reporter, in there for 18 years.
The reporter in the movie is actually based on a real reporter that actually got him released early. He was supposed to be in prison a lot longer, and she actually like pleaded his case and got him released early. In this, though he's
Wait, was
completely
it the reporter or was it a lawyer?
It was the
Like,
reporter, actually. It's the reporter that actually I looked it
was
up.
that actually true?
She's not the one, and she was based on a real life character. She's not the one who got him the reduced sentence. She got him released early. Like she pleaded the entire time, so that because she'd met him and was like, this guy couldn't have done anything wrong. He probably just did what he had to do to survive. So that was true. But the way they handle it in the movie is he's completely absolved, but the trappers are going to, who have his horse, by the way, they're just going to kill him anyway, and they go to hang him, and the chief, the Native American Indian chief shows up with a katana, chops the noose to save him, and yells, "You're a very," and looks at the lead trapper, and then just decapitates him, and everyone's happy because they got to see someone die. And it ends with,
go home.
well, it ends with the reporter and him singing a love song to each other, and they kiss and everything, and like they're off in the sunset, and then suddenly the priest shows back up with, like, you know, again for another jump scare with, like, he's got a knife in his head and a stick, you know, and he's supposed to have been dead for months, but, you know, suddenly he's back, and that's how it ends. In between all this, there's a ton of amazing music. I'm gonna say, you know, again, one of the best movies ever. Rewatching it, same rating, 15 out of 5. Felicia, what's your take? Like, what did I miss anything?
I mentioned it before.
Yeah, and did I miss anything?
Oh gosh, I'm trying to think of like what you could have missed. There was just so much. There were so many little nuggets in that movie, and it was just absolutely fucking hysterical.
The Cyclops. I missed the Cyclops.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they keep warning. Everyone keeps warning them that there's a Cyclops in the Rocky Mountains. And when they finally run into him, it's just a big guy that clearly has like a really tall guy that one of his eyes just has this nasty scar over it, and whenever he talks, it just squirts on them. It's like the hole where the eye's been cut squirts on everybody, and he's like an ex, you know, Confederate soldier, and they all pretend to be Confederates, and they realize that he's not because they tried to say something about, you know, Dixie or something, and they get it wrong. I think he's singing one, you know. And he ends up trying to attack him. And then he's randomly there at the bar when they capture him. I also did miss that he, when they're capturing him to put him on trial, the trapper tries to, you know, fight him, and he gets, like, the little, you know, bubble of the chief Indian tribe telling him, you know, to not be a pussy or something. And he just does, like, a ton of karate moves right on the trapper's balls. And then from the rest of the movie, the trapper speaks like he's got like helium, you know, in his lungs.
Yeah. Even in the song "Hang the Bastard," it's pretty evident.
He's singing it, yeah. And he even roundhouse kicks. It's funny. He like roundhouse kicks him in a Western movie.
Oh gosh, there's like so many. There's so many nuggets. Like I'm trying to think of what else I can talk about. But the movie was just amazing.
It's really is gold. Again, I think that if you haven't seen this one, go out and watch it, especially if you're a South Park fan or a musical fan. Like, if you don't even like South Park but you like musicals, watch this.
I was about to grab the cat. I was about to grab Chopper, but he left.
Okay. But if you're a musical fan or a South Park fan, watch this. Also, if you're a South Park fan, watch Orgasmo, watch Basketball. They've done a lot of movies other than what they did with South Park. And that's all that I have. So anything else, Felicia?
Shit. I'm just kind of waiting for a new season of South Park. And I know that they've been doing the really super duper short seasons, but I would really like if they went back to somewhat longer seasons. I'm so sad. Honestly, they've been doing, like, I know that they had cut the seasons down to, like, 10 episodes, but I think lately they've been, like, 6 or something like that. I don't know. It's been bumming me out a little bit, so.
No, definitely.
I understand, because they want to make sure that they're putting all their best efforts in, and I think that they're going to have some specials, but I love that damn show.
And for those of you who love this show and are looking for your South Park fix, watch this goddamn movie.
Yes.
Well, I am going to go ahead and cut it there because this hat's making me look and feel really fucking stupid. But if you enjoyed this video, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and please comment what next movie you'd want us to review. Thank you, everyone.
Please.
Bye.
Please subscribe to us. We need the views.